In the news today, I want to cover an article from The Citizen, and the headline of the article reads that scientists advise cabinet to go to level 1. Government chose the middle ground. This is what President Cyril Ramaphosa said. Now, this ties in with some of my previous In the News articles where I spoke about Cyril Ramaphosa that actually spoke to the South African National Editors Forum. He had a meeting with them online and they asked a lot of fiery questions at him. And I mean, he was really stumbling in many of those. It was difficult for him to answer. He didn't have a teleprompter in front of him. He didn't have someone writing his speech or choosing his words for him. He had to come up with the answers himself. And this is the most honest way to get someone to actually say what's on their mind. And it's extremely telling. It looks like the president at this stage is starting to realize what's happening with this COVID-19 pandemic, and reality is starting to dawn on him. Remember, he's not a robot. He's still a person. And besides everything I've said about his past and who he's working for, he must still have some kind of a conscience, and maybe we see shimmers of that shining through at the moment, as he is being more honest than usual with how they make decisions. But once again, this is highlighting the flaws in our system, in government. It's also highlighting the flaws within the party system, particularly his party, the same way that it would highlight the problems within all other parties, because they all have infighting inside of them. It reads that Ramaphosa also, scientists advised cabinet to go to level 1, government chose the middle ground, and Ramaphosa also conceded that the government's initial plan to leave hotspot areas at a higher alert levels would have been impractical to enforce. Now, you'll remember the moment after Cyril Ramaphosa announced that the entire country is going to level 3, we then had the Minister of Health, Zweli Mkhize, say that no, but the hotspots will remain at level 4, and there was massive confusion. And now he's making clear that, as I've said, Zweli Mkhize blamed the slide that he presented to NCOP, the National Council of Provinces, that was outdated on him making the error. But yes, Cyril is making clear now that this is not what happened, that the slide was just blame, and that he realized that it would have been impractical to enforce level 4 in the hotspot areas and level 3 in other areas, and he's 100% correct in his assessment. It reads further, President Cyril Ramaphosa said that scientists who are advising government on the response to the coronavirus crisis recommended that South Africa could move to level 1 of the nationwide lockdown, as it had become a blunt tool. Now, this is very important to understand the reasoning behind them saying that the lockdown is a blunt tool at the moment. In other words, it has no effect. It can't really cut into anything or make any difference. It's become a blunt tool in curbing the spread of the pandemic in the country. So the scientists, these same scientists, said that the lockdown needs to happen. Now, if you know that there's some virus that is dangerous, whether you believe there's a virus or not, I certainly believe the virus is real. I don't only believe it, in fact, I know it, because we've done the RNA sequencing and I've spoken to people that have been involved in that. So we know that this is a new virus, that this virus somehow arrived here or got spread here. I will not speculate at this stage as to how that happened. But the virus is amongst us, is not as deadly as people thought initially, or no one really knew. We needed time to find that out. And these scientists advised accordingly. They said, do a lockdown nationwide, which I believe happened too late, and then release that lockdown once you have curbed the peak. Now, this all makes perfect scientific sense. But now we have politicians meddling and interfering and not listening to these people. I'll continue. This is actually quite revealing. But the government weighed this against advice from the World Health Organization, the WHO, which called for the gradual lifting of lockdowns across the world. Since when was the WHO elected to run what our country does? Now, this tells you that this MAC group of scientists, experts, who have, in my past articles, I've mentioned on numerous occasions, feel like they have been sidelined in how we tackle the pandemic and actually look at the lockdown, here is proof that the World Health Organization, an unelected body, not even citizens of this country, is making decisions for our government, and they are following those decisions. Do you see where I'm going with this? The President was speaking to a group of editors in a virtual forum with the South African National Editors Forum on Sunday. The scientists are the ones who continue to lead, this is Cyril speaking, lead our efforts in all of this. He's saying that the scientists are leading the efforts, but they are not leading with our politicians making the decisions. The who is. So what Cyril is saying there does not add up at all. They have advised us that we needed to impose a lockdown, which we did. Now, most people that believe there is a virus and you don't know how dangerous it is initially would agree with that. They said it will help flatten the curve of the infections, and with that we will have sufficient time to prepare ourselves, to prepare our healthcare systems, to prepare our tools to be able to deal with the spike that is to follow. Now, this is normal scientific common sense. The severity and extent no one knew at the time. We didn't have enough data. Well, until data started becoming available. They also said once we went through level 5 and 4, they also said the lockdown has served its purpose. So the scientists said level 5 and 4, that's it. After that, just open the economy. There's no more point in carrying on with this lockdown. And I would agree with that. In fact, what they were also advising was that you could quite easily go to level 1, Ramaphosa said. So he admitted to this editors forum that the scientists said, we can just go to level 1. He said scientists had advised that the lockdown has become a blunt instrument and had served its purpose. Government was advised to rely on other tools to curb the spread of COVID-19 infections, such as promoting social distancing, wearing of masks and hygiene. Now there's a big difference between forcing someone to do something and promoting something. Promoting something and asking people to adhere to something for their own safety is a liberal or a liberty thing to do. When you want to give someone liberty to choose how they do something, then you are for freedom of choice. When you impose something on someone, you are against freedom of choice. So in this case, our government chose to choose for us, take our freedom of choice away, and they believe that they had the right to do that. Now, no government has the right to do that. Not even under our constitution, as I've said before. And under a state of disaster, there is no law that allows the government to take our freedom and rights away. You need to be under a state of emergency. And a state of emergency can only be approved by Chief Justice Mogoeng and an entire bench of the Constitutional Court, as I've mentioned many times before. Many of you are new subscribers and may not have watched my past videos. Please do so. Subscribe to the channel. Please ask your friends and family to subscribe. Ring the bell icon if you want notifications. And please share these videos with your friends so that they can also get this information and make informed decisions. So, besides what the scientists have now said, that people should be advised to do certain things and that the government should promote certain things, like social distancing, wearing of masks and hygiene, and I have my own opinions on that. He says next, and I quote, "But we also had advice from the World Health Organization." The World Health Organization was saying we advise that countries should ease lockdowns gradually and slowly and do so as the infection rate go down, Ramaphosa said. The President said the National Coronavirus Command Council, the NCCC, and Cabinet were armed with both sets of advice and had decided to take the middle road. The middle road. So they decided, okay, we'll give a little bit here, but we're still going to take a little bit there. And this is typical of someone that wants to remain in control. So this Command Council is clearly not listening to South Africans, and I want to emphasize this. You elected our government, you the population of this country, and they are listening to people from outside our country that are unelected, that you don't even know, and they're making decisions for you based on that. Think about that for a moment. And remember, one point I want to make, and a lot of people speak about the ANC, who's the ruling party. All the other parties stood beside Cyril Ramaphosa when he imposed the initial lockdown. Not just the initial lockdown, but they stood beside him again when he extended the lockdown and when the scientists said that we should be able to open up. They stood beside him. So all of them are to blame. They are all a gang. They work for the same people, the same funders, and I will do a separate video on that. So that's why you need to subscribe and keep on coming back on how political parties are funded and why they want to hide who is funding them. So government decided to go to level 3 because it was eeny, meeny, miny, moe. They're picking the middle ground, which is absolutely shocking. There's no scientific basis for their decision, none. Then he said, and I quote, rather than rush quickly to level 1 as advised through scientists, we said, let's go to level 3 and gradually move to level 2. So they're basically just doing what the WHO says, the World Health Organization. This will also help give us time to be more ready throughout the country, Ramaphosa said. More ready for what? We have seen no evidence of mass deaths. And I will still cover many things with you with regards to mass monitoring that's being rolled out right now, plans in the different municipalities for mass graves. I've already covered that in one of my In the News articles. The plans for hundreds of thousands of coffins to be manufactured. So all of these things point to advice from the World Health Organization, not local experts and not local evidence. None of these actions and panic is based on evidence that we can see locally. The next headline reads nuclear weapon. Something I'm intimately familiar with and understand how it works. I even know how to build one. But quite an interesting part of the article. Answering questions from editors and journalists, Ramaphosa emphasized that the government's response was wholly guided by scientific opinion. Once again, how do you balance them actually following the World Health Organization and now saying that everything that they're doing has to do with scientific opinion? Does this add up, people? He maintained that it was time to open up the economy because we can't keep the economy shut forever and a day. It's easy to say that, but this is not what he's doing after our scientists said open up. So a bit of confusion there on the part of our president. Some people have commented and said, leave the president alone. Why are you attacking the president? I'm not attacking him. I'm just giving you the facts and you can decide for yourself. I mean, common sense is common sense, and I believe my father raised me to have exactly that from the age of 4. So having used possibly the big bazooka and possibly the nuclear weapon, which is the lockdown, the hard lockdown, as we ease, we now need to use other tools, Ramaphosa said. Well, now he's starting to speak about something that makes more sense. But what other tools is he speaking about? And this is key, because this is where the New World Order can implement all of their wants and whims. They make you afraid, put you in a position where you just want freedom, and then they come with the answer to your freedom. Oh, you need to be vaccinated. Oh, you might need a new form of ID. Oh, you might need to be monitored on your phone, on an app. I know companies that are implementing these systems right now. That's linking into your neighborhood cameras for the World Health Organization and the UN, all New World Order stooges, to monitor your every move. This is happening right now, people. And I will do, like I said, separate videos on that. But it's important to bring in these topics because it's all relevant. So, once again, when he speaks about what other measures that they'll use, that's when I get worried. These other tools. He said those tools include wearing masks and social distancing, adding that he was pleased that handshakes were a thing of the past. He said handshakes are a thing of the past. He also said in one video that kissing and hugging is a thing of the past. This is all New World Order ideology. And I will explain to you how the New World Order wants to break down the social norm of families. That you won't interact at all. There will be no more physical touch. And these things are very, very deliberate. And when I expose the grand scheme to come, it'll all start to make sense. So our New World Order stooge, our president, is starting to lay the ground rules for this New World Order ideology engagement in society. So he's saying handshakes a thing of the past. Ramaphosa also conceded that the government's initial plan to leave hotspot areas at a higher alert level would have been impractical to enforce. Hotspots are areas with high infection rates and include the country's economic hubs. Okay, where we actually make the country survive financially. Not that I support the financial system at all, and that'll be the topic of another video. So please subscribe to my channel if you have not. At the bottom right hand corner of my video, you'll see the subscribe icon. Just click on it and you'll be subscribed. It doesn't cost a cent, and then you'll get updates on my videos. Originally, the intention was to place hotspot areas at a higher level than other areas, but it became evident that this would prove impractical and undermine efforts to reopen the economy, Ramaphosa said. So Zweli Mkhize lied about the slideshow at NCOP, as I've said before. This was the plan all along. They saw that it backfired, and then they had to go and backtrack fast. Remember, they cancelled the briefing that they were going to give on the fact that the hotspots would remain level 4. They knew they would have riots on their hands. He used Ekurhuleni as an example of how, if it was left at level 4 of the lockdown, it would have been impossible for people from the rest of the province to travel to that area for work. This is common sense, something the government and the people in government don't have much of at this stage. Then I quote him again, having different areas on different levels will simply disrupt supply chains, create a multiplicity of regulations to enforce, and even increase the movement between hotspots and other areas, he said. All common sense. Instead, government they decided to have a much more focused response in hotspots, Ramaphosa said, and this is key. This more focused response will bring things that will take your liberties away, which is what my last video was about. And I want you to go and watch the entire video. And I want to encourage you, when you watch my videos, to watch to the end. If you don't have time to do it now, go back later and watch the videos to the end. This is crucial, people, because I often make very crucial points at the end of the videos. And those points are important for you to make decisions in your daily life. He then said he hoped that the new set of interventions would work and that the government would not have to place hotspot areas on high alert levels, because they have threatened that if any of these areas get worse, they will just put it back up to level 4 and back up to level 5, or put it into a hard lockdown. Now, these are threats that these ministers have been making, and he was tackled in this SANEF forum where they said to him, your ministers have been very crass with the people and your communication has not been in line with that of your ministers. But the ministers are actually saying what's happening behind the scene. He has to try and save face, make the public think that he's on their side when he is not. People, Cyril Ramaphosa works with New World Order ideology. His bosses don't sit in South Africa. The bosses that initiated him, got him into the upper circle, are certainly here. But the people that give them the instructions and made them famous and rich are overseas. And they still run this country to this day. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell icon if you want notifications. Thank you for subscribing. We almost at 2,400 subscribers now, which is a huge achievement. Thank you for all your comments. Your encouragement has been absolutely overwhelming. And many of my posts now have hundreds of comments, so it will take me time to work through them, but I will make the effort to do that still at this stage. And I will tell you when I will start making bulk comments to thank everyone, or I'll try and do it in my videos. Look out for the next in the news article that will follow soon.